strongly support this move. Now, I joined my colleague Laurie Scott last year in Kawartha Lakes, where we met Krista. She told us that her husband had to give up full-time work as they did not have access to before and after school programs, denying him from labor market participation and threatening her family as ability to pay the bills. That is not right. And we promised her we would fix this. Laurie Scott, my colleague Jill Dunlop, Donna Skelly, Premier Ford, all of us believe so passionately that we must do everything possible to support women economic participation and success. For many working families, these programs are affordable. They're flexible options that provide quality care for their children when they need it most. This change is consistent with our overall objective of providing access that is affordable and that is safe. In addition to benefiting families, these amendments will support childcare providers by reducing their administrative and red tape burden. Childcare providers will be able to spend more time caring for children and their safety, not filling out unnecessary red tape and paperwork that undermines their productivity. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on children, on families, on the entire childcare sector. As Minister of Education, the health and the safety and the well-being of the children and our families remains our foremost priority. These amendments today will further strengthen health and safety requirements, including enhancements to existing COVID-19 health and safety protections. We heard from parents about what they're looking for: safe, affordable, reliable childcare options. We heard from childcare providers and stakeholders about what they need, which is continued support and reduction in red tape for their operations. Childcare providers have been instrumental in keeping children safe. Shortly after the provincial emergency orders required the temporary closing of schools from in-person instruction, the childcare system quickly mobilized to deliver emergency childcare for eligible frontline workers at no cost to parents right at the beginning of the pandemic last year. I want to thank them for their incredible effort of so many childcare providers, of educators, providing the emergency childcare system. At its peak, it served an average of 5,000 children a day across 540 locations in this province. 5,000 children of frontline heroes were cared for because of your work and because of our partnership. And I sincerely thank all childcare professionals, including registered early childhood educators, for their unwavering commitment and their tremendous sacrifice they have made to provide support for these families. Despite the immense challenges of operating through a pandemic, they continue to lead our youngest learners through a defining time in their life. And our government recognizes this has not been easy on anyone. We appreciate the commitments. And now more than ever, access to affordable and accessible childcare will be critical to driving Ontario's economic recovery. And these changes that are announced today support the goal, demonstrate our ability to the province that we will provide choice, flexibility, affordability, and greater access for families across Ontario. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Donna Skelly.
Thank you, Minister, and good morning, everyone. Today's announcement is incredibly good news for hardworking families right across Ontario, including in my community of Flamborough-Glanbrook. And it could not have come at a better time. As we begin the process of putting the COVID-19 outbreak behind us, there's no question that childcare will be essential for Ontario's economic recovery. As a parent myself, I can tell you that my sons will always be my personal top priority and the most important people in my life. If you're the parent of young children, you need to know your children are in good hands and being well looked after before you can confidently return to work or reopen your business. The good news is that since June of last year, about 96% of childcare centres have reopened following the COVID-related closure, and that includes over 5,000 childcare centres and 131 home childcare agencies. But of course, we need to do more for parents. Today's announcement allows eligible, authorized recreational and skill-building providers to offer expanded hours, which should create up to 5,000 new before and after school spaces right across Ontario. Before and after school programs are critically important to many working parents, so this is welcome news in households right across Ontario. Our government is listening to working families and childcare providers, and we are taking action to give parents and children the support they need during challenging times. Thank you. Minister?
Lines for questions. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
From Brandon Kennedy, Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister Lecce. I just wanted to check, does this mean that the other proposed amendments that were released in November are no longer being considered, or are they still under review?
The focus for today's announcement is very much on driving a reduction in red tape for our operators, an improvement to the health and safety requirements for our students or for our youngest learners within childcare centres, and also an expansion of choice and flexibility when it comes to delivering these before and after school programs that were historically prohibited to 3 hours a day. So that's today's focus. That's what we're really trying to advance. And obviously, we'll continue to consult with municipalities on the way forward on any other reforms that could be brought forward to the childcare system and the broader supports for families in Ontario.
So the proposed amendments related to age groupings, those are still being considered. There hasn't been a decision one way or the other yet.
Yeah, today we're really focusing in on these proposals. I mean, obviously, we continue to consult with families in the province. The priority for us, to be quite frank, is to make sure when it comes to how we advance the principle of affordability that we provide more choice to working moms and dads. And when we notice and when we know that there are red tape or regulatory burdens that undermine the ability of some of notable operators like the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club from operating well beyond the 3 hours, we know that that's limiting access to affordable care. And for potentially 5,000 more children in Ontario, for thousands of families in this province, we can today, through a regulatory change, really make a difference for many moms and dads in the province. So that's what we're doing today. That's what our focus remains. And I think broadly, as we look to the economic recovery, we see childcare and these before and after programs, skill building and recreation programs, as part of the solution to enabling parents to get care for their children so that they can get back to work. And that's especially true, I think, for women in Ontario who have been disproportionately impacted, borne a disproportionate burden of the pandemic, and we want to make sure they can get back to work and support their families.
Next question.
A reminder to press star 1 if you have questions. Next is Christina Horan at City News. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Minister. I just have a quick clarification question with regards to the 3-hour operating limit. Are you saying now that the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Clubs will be able to open for, all day from 6 a.m., let's say, until 10 p.m.? I just don't understand what the big announcement is.
Well, historically, these organizations were denied from operating more than 3 hours. Now these authorized recreational programs will be allowed to operate well beyond the 3 hours. And I think that's an important change we're allowing today, because what that does, that regulatory change alone will enable programs in communities across Ontario to offer hours that really work for the labor market. And I think this 9 to 5 vision that, I think when some of these regulatory concepts were conceived is not working for a lot of folks who work shift work, for a lot of parents who work late, who work well beyond a 7 or 8 hour day, for our frontline heroes and so many in the essential service economy that are working throughout at less traditional hours. So this flexibility is actually important. It will allow thousands of parents to get access to a more affordable type of program, regulated, it is safe. But finally, listening to the recommendation of the YMCA, of the Boys and Girls Club, and many others who've called on government to rescind this 3-hour cap on the amount of care and hours they can provide care within a day.
And just a quick follow-up. Do we know then that the YMCA and Boys and Girls Clubs are going to actually be expanding their hours as of March 8th?
Well, we do know that they have expressed a strong support for this and that they have expressed interest in expanding those hours. Absolutely. In fact, what Owen Charters, the president of the Boys and Girls Club, said is that the regulatory amendments that exempts certain authorized recreation providers from the 3-hour rule will, quote, remove financial and emotional strain and provide more options for quality, affordable, and safe before and after school care. Putting families first is critical as we grapple with COVID-19. The vice president of the YMCA Greater Toronto Area, Linda Coates, said that the improvements coupled with efforts to reduce the administrative burden will allow our childcare teams to focus on what's most important, delivering high-quality early childhood education to all the families, children, and communities we serve, and applauded the changes that were announced today. So yes, I think we expect to see uptake from these organizations that have track records of providing excellence in care to expand those in the coming weeks, and that'll be promising for families in Ontario.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.